Brothers and sisters, a short presentation on simple pressure, how it applies to our situation. But first, I want to do a short recap on on what I did yesterday, calculus. Again, this is about pressure, brothers and sisters. Now, yesterday I mentioned mass times velocity equals momentum. What momentum is like, say you're driving and you're going 50 miles an hour and you take your foot off the gas, you're just coasting. That's what momentum is, just coasting. See? And you keep on coasting, you run into something. Or you know, the traction or something slows you down. That's what it is. Momentum is just, right? You're just going along, you're not applying any force, you're not stepping on the gas, just rolling along. That's what momentum is. Mass times velocity, right? Okay. But when you hit something, momentum turns into acceleration. So you hit, that's a force, because it takes a force to stop momentum. Okay? So velocity is just moving along, no force impacting you, right? You're just going along. But as soon as you change any force applied, that becomes acceleration. If you slow down, you speed up, you turn direction, it takes a force to do that. That's called acceleration. So as long as you just drive along and you're not applying gas, anything, you just, right? If you just going along, you're not applying any force, that's momentum. Okay? In general. Okay. But as soon as you do anything, then it becomes acceleration. You change your direction, so any force you apply to that, then it's a force. Because it takes a force to, right? To change what you was doing. You was going along, but to change what you're doing, every action has an opposite reaction. Says a force continue going on it. Well, I forget exactly what they say it, but the point is that once it hits something or any change, it takes a force to do that. Ain't change your motion, ain't change your action, it takes a force to do that. Things don't change without force. Let's move on, brothers. Okay, I want to get to an example here. That's your velocity. In this case, the acceleration is going down to zero to a point. A point doesn't move. Point in physics, points don't move. Point means a position. Points are just position. They don't take up any space, like on the ruler. The position between first one inch, another inch, there's no space there. It's just a position. Because if it was, then an inch would be longer than an inch. So inch 1, inch 2, you said 2 there, that's just a point. Points take up no space. Points don't move. That's what it means in physics. So in other words, to change your motion, right? You have to come to a point. In other words, you have to stop doing what you was doing to change your motion. You have to stop going. If you're going 50 miles an hour, you have to stop going 50 miles an hour. It means you have to come to a point, right? You have to stop. When point is position, stops. So you have to stop doing what you was doing to go to 50 miles. If you're going 50 miles an hour, you have to stop doing what you're doing to go to 60 miles an hour, right? You're 50, so you're not going 50 miles an hour to go 60. You have to stop going 50 miles an hour. If you're going to go down 30 miles an hour, you have to stop going 50 miles. Stop going 50 miles an hour to slow down to 30 miles an hour. It takes force to do that, either way. If you change direction, you're going north, you're going to start going east, you have to stop going north. That's what that means. Hope you understand, brothers. But this is, see, if this should really, it had an impact on me, but when you get to appreciate this, you'll see that, you mean that's the way life works? That math, your idea of math is like some glue, clay or something, no, it's precise. And when you do that calculation on a car or a rocket or whatever, it's precise. It's precise. You say, well, damn, everything is mathematics. And mathematics is simple. Okay? That's if you have a complex mind. If you have a simple mind, then again, everything's confusing. Everything's not really mathematics anymore. You gotta believe in Jesus, or you gotta believe in some Shiva, or some mystery, or whatever. Somebody, see, it gets confusing. But when you got mathematics, you see it's simple. Oh, man, I was going down the road, and man, I was going to accident, and suddenly, man, I changed direction, man. Jesus must have, no, it was the wind that did it. Right? Look at your whole body. Everything is mathematics there. Everything. There's no such thing as a miracle. A miracle is math that you don't understand. That's what miracles are. Just like what they call accidents. No such thing as an accident. If there's such thing as accident, prophecy would not be possible. Because that means you're going to prophesy that this person will be born at a certain time, right? What if their father had an accident? What if father missed the point? What if they don't meet the woman that he had to have that woman? See what I'm saying? It had to be exactly right. Exactly. You're going to say, okay, Moses is going to be born in the year 2000. And he's going to be a certain time, or Jesus will be born at a certain time in this particular place, and he's going to start, going to rise, and he's like I said, you got to be precise. Because first of all, you part of the calculation is that the father generates what, millions of sperm? So which one actually got to the mother? Which one got fertilized? I mean, you have to know all of that. It has to be precise. It's more brothers and sisters. So velocity is like in a line. I mean, velocity, right? It's basically a line, right? What is a line, right? Acceleration is a point. That means you come to a point, but it takes force to come to a point to stop what you're doing. It takes force to do that. That's why acceleration, right, times mass equals force, because acceleration, it takes force to cause acceleration. It causes force to cause acceleration. It causes force to move faster. It causes more force to move slower. It causes force to change direction. Velocity. Let me get to people. Now I showed that. I said you're going along at this speed, velocity, right? And then all of a sudden you accelerate. You want to change direction. Well, you got to stop. Point. You got to stop going at this velocity, in this direction, to change this direction. You ain't going this direction, so that's a point. That point, that's what a point where you had to do it. There'd be a point where you stop going this direction, and if you want to go faster, there'd be a point where you're going faster than you was going before. Where you're going to slower, you're a point right there where you're going slower. You understand? You had to come to a point, a stop where you was doing the change. Go faster, slower, or change direction. This is what I want to show you here. Now, this is very simple, right? It's very simple here. Hold on, what's going on here? Why is that showing like that? Hold on, I gotta load. Okay, well, I guess you can see it. Oh, I see. Oh, that can't work like that. Hold on, brothers and sisters, what's going on here? Okay, that's better. There you go. Now I'm saying mass. Mass is how much structure or weight you have. That's what mass is. We're not weight. How much substance there is. That's what mass is, how much substance is. And also structure, right? It's not weight. Because weight is a force. Weight is actually force. That's more complicated. How much substance there is. That's what mass is. So he's saying, you got a mass, I'm just saying 2 tons, but that's not quite right, because I'm saying, we say tons here, tons are actually a force. So I'm trying to put it in a way that you might understand it. So say you got a truck, right? Weighs 2 tons. Okay? So you can say that's the mass, right? And its velocity is 24 squared, right? So you can say, well, mass should be smaller, but 24 squared would be 24 times 24. That's how fast it's going, right? Basically, I'm just giving you a basic idea. It's not going to be going that fast. 24 times, well, 24 times 24, well, I don't know what that is, but you're saying that's how many miles you go per hour. Maybe that's how many hours go up per day or something. Anyway, that's the velocity. I'm just showing you an example, right? So the velocity is whatever 24 times 24 is. And velocity is usually d over time, distance divided by time. I'm just giving you the simple version. And then so you say velocity equals acceleration. Oh, wait a minute. I missed something. Hold on, I gotta fix that. Oh, I missed that. Hold on. Hold on a second. How do I do this? Okay. Hold on, brothers and sisters. Hold on a second. Okay. Make sure this is right here. And we're going to be in the pressure in a minute. But I put this here. Okay. There you go. Gotta get it right. Okay. Oh, there you go. So I'm showing the derivative, I told you that, of velocity is acceleration, right? And that would be, remember if you take the derivative, you put 2 times this and take 1 off top, there's it right there. So that'd be 2 times 24, right? The first power, which would be 2 times 24 would be 48, right? So acceleration would be 48 if the velocity is this, right? So then you say 48 times 2 tons be 96 tons. You see, that's the force. It would hit, if it hit something, hit with that much force. Remember, that's very general. It's not called accurate, it's just general enough to get you to understand how this works. Because you got other little things you gotta, because you can't really say tons, right? Because that's a force itself. But I'm trying to put it in a sense that you can get a feel for what's going on here. Now, what happened here, Louis? Oh, okay, I know what happened. So that's what it is. So that's the way you calculate it. So how much the mass is. Then you look at how they calculate mass. But anyway, mass would be how much mass the truck has. So with a bigger truck, right? That's twice this, then the force would be twice this. If it hits something, it's with that much force. Okay, hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I thought I'd just put that in there. Okay, next pressure. Okay, so let's talk about pressure here. Now I got some graphics here, right? But see here, velocity, right? First, got to understand what this didn't understand pressure. This is not voluminous. It's not voluminous pressure. When voluminous means volume, like in a room, the space in the room is volume. The wall is not voluminous. Wall is planar. It's flat, right? You don't walk around in the wall. Walk around here because it's voluminous, right? This thing's going off on, hold on, guys, just that mess up here again. I don't just go off on its own. And I don't want to go, okay, I gotta make a change here a bit. Okay, here I go again. Here I go again. Well, I can do it this way. I can just do it this way. a hard problem. Mm-mm. Okay. Yep. Okay. 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 There you go. Okay. So they say a plane or planar. They call it planar. Physical flat surface is planar, like the floor is a flat surface. But the room itself is voluminous, volume. See, in a bottle is volume. You put something that's volume, but the bottle itself is not volume. I mean, the bottle. Well, anyway, the skin of the bottle, right? That's not. That's planar. It's, it's the skin. Hope you understand that. Anyway, see right here is some velocity. And so this is a planar situation because it says hit something here, and once it hits that, right, if it reduced to a point, it's force then, because it hits something. As long as it's going, but as soon as it hit, that means it stopped. That's it. It takes a force to stop, it turns to a point. That's not something somebody made up. That's the mathematics of it. So in this case right here, if you do it that way, that's force. But if you do it this way, comes pressure, because it's still the same amount of force. If that was 20 pounds here, this would be 20 pounds here. It'd just be 5 pounds here, 5 pounds here, 5 pounds here, and 5 pounds here. So it's spread out. It just spreads force out like that's what a bulletproof vest does. It takes the bullet comes in, it stops it, and spread that force all the way around. So instead of you getting hit with like 100 pounds of force right in one point, maybe you get put 10 pounds of force all over the place, which might break your bones, but it won't kill you. That's what bulletproof vest works, right? It takes us disperse the force, turns into pressure. All pressure is just force spread out. That's what this is. That right there, all those you add together, that's equal to the pressure to hit it. So if pressure was 100, each one of those would be 25. Okay? So that's all the pressure is, right? In the planar. So I just showed the things here, right? See, these are some graphics I got. I don't know they're very good, but what it's showing, it's showing how this thing going every time it goes down, right? It decreases the volume. The volume goes down, but the pressure goes up. That's what this thing is telling you here. See the V going down, but the ground pressure builds up because you're putting stuff in smaller space. It's like if it's 2 people in the elevator, it's fine. 5 people in the elevator, right? People start pressing against each other. 10 people, 20, they get pressure because now everybody's squeezed against each other. But just one, there's no pressure there. 2, they ain't plenty of room for 2. When they start, bumping into each other, then pressure, and the more put enough heat, pressure increases. That's what it's telling you. As the volume goes down, small. So if you got a room, and you got 100 people in the room, and the room is 100 square inches, say, speaking, right? There's enough room for everybody. Everybody got a little spot. But somehow the rooms to get smaller, everybody started getting squeezed. So now there's pressure on everybody because the room got smaller, the volume got smaller. That's what it's telling you right here. And the variables for pressure is PVT. So in this case, pressure equals time divided by volume. Now time is just how fast they're moving, how fast things are moving, right? So in other words, if you're in a room and people move around in the room, that's temperature. The more fast they move, the higher the temperature. That's what temperature is. Temperature is atoms moving around fast. The faster they move, the higher it is. Because if they move around fast, that's fire, right? And well, it can be fire. But heat, we see heat, because the atoms are moving faster, the molecules move faster. The faster they move, the higher it's going to be. That's what temperature is. Pressure is actually collisions, right? So like when you squeeze people in the elevator, that's collision. Because it can be mild or it can be fatal. If it's mild, when you have a interaction with a person, just talk to them, or you have a relationship, right? That's pressure, interaction. But it's a mild pressure. It's mild that you appreciate. And somebody pats you on the back. Well, that's pressure, but hey, that pressure you can deal with. But they punch you, that's pressure too. Now that's more intense. You understand? It's just the levels of it. When pressure get high, the pressure get high enough, then you got conflict. And higher, it may be fighting. Higher, you got war. Okay, let's look at it, brothers and sisters. So the world right now is under a lot of pressure. You see, and temperature, the temper, it comes from temperature. So temperature is rising, right? Because people getting hotter. That means the pressure is getting greater, right? So here's some examples here, right? So these are moving around. That's the pressure. You know, all this stuff is inside a container. So they're moving around because they limit. If that wasn't a container, they would just disperse like air. It would be any pressure. But since they're in there, they're moving around, right? And the more temperature is, they move fast like a pressure cooker. Pressure cooker. What happens is they turn the temperature up, they heat up, so they move around faster and faster. So they cook much faster. If you understand that, but I'm trying to keep this simple, brothers and sisters. Just give some examples here, right? Okay. So they're trying to use the sense of gravity, right? I'll move on. I don't want to explain that one. And then in this case right here, they said hot gas and cool gas. See, cool gas molecules move around slow. Hot gas move around fast. They try to show it here, but it's really not that good. Okay. And the same thing here. So I'm talking about volume. See, in other words, you got three here. But see how much volume you got? So they're not even touching each other. But here they're constantly hitting each other, see, because it's less volume. It's pressure here. Actually, more temperature too, but you got pressure here. You got hardly any pressure here, because they hardly even contact with each other. But since they got smaller space, the same three, remember the volume got smaller, so now they collide with each other. And to make it smaller, they collide even more. Hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. Oh, I think I showed this already, but maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Okay, now I'm going to give a couple of examples, right? Now see here, this is how it applies to our situation. Now, those are the 5 races. The gold, that's the original. Black, that's African, our brothers. The brown, that's Asians. Yellow, Oriental, and the white Caucasian. Now they have different structures. Now I talk about derivatives, right? I want to talk about that a little more. I might have my other, anyway. Okay. Actually, okay. So I said they're a derivative of us. The Caucasians are a derivative of us. They came out of us. They're derivatives. I'll explain it later. I plan on explaining it later in more detail again, like I did yesterday, but I come from another angle, I think. So in other words, if we're solid steel, say solid steel, well, they would be like a pool ball. You see, pool ball is like plastic, you know, it's porcelain, I guess. See, right? So, and we live in a pressure environment. Your body's all about pressure. You breathe, your heart, all this pressure. We live in a pressure, but everything that deals with us has pressure. It has nothing to do with Jesus, Allah, nobody else. We live in pressure. Our nature, our reality is pressure. Universe is pressure. Universe expands and contracts. As it contracts, the pressure builds up because everything's less space. Right, it gets hotter, hotter, hotter. That's why they say it was extremely hot when they call it the Big Bang, because everything, all every stars, everything I do is in a very small space. That means we're extremely hot and extremely violent, because remember, it's moving real fast and it's colliding, constantly colliding. Extremely violent, extremely hot, because the volume is very small. But then as it expands, the universe gets cooler and cooler and cooler because they have more space to move around in, so it cools down. There's less violence because things are colliding less, right? Because the universe is getting larger and larger, more volume. So right now, we're at a state, right, where it's very cool, and now it's warming up. That's what's causing global warming. The universe is contracting. They think it's, no, that's what's really causing it, because the earth is heating up. But that's a good thing for us. See, it's a bad thing for them, because their society is based on the way the state. If you build your kingdom during the wintertime, you're gonna build off ice and snow and all that kind of stuff, igloos and all that kind of stuff, right? But it won't survive in the spring. And when spring comes, say, "Wow, the earth is changing, man. Earth is warming up." See, that's the way you look at it. We gotta stop the earth from warming up. See? No, it's spring, and that warming up is good because it's gonna bring spring in. This warming up that's happening, this global warming, is in our favor. It's against them because it's destroying their reality, not ours. It's bringing our reality in. But the way they see it, we gotta stop it because it's destroying their reality. Oh man, we ain't gonna be able to do this. This is gonna happen. The ocean's gonna rise, all kind of stuff. Because it's bringing in their reality. It's bringing our reality in. It's destroying their reality. But see, they got it all back. They think, oh man, that's gonna destroy humanity. No, it's not. And this war and stuff is going on, that's to your benefit. Because the pressure is increasing. And who's going to destroy? It's going to destroy them. Not you. That's of you taking care of business. Now, we'll get that in a minute. You see here? That's about structure. And see, let's go to this again. See how slow this? Watch this closely. Watch this closely. See how fast the white was moving? Everyone's moving, and slow as moving is this one. Why? Because in a pressure field, there's said no net force. That means, like if I see a water in a glass. That water's under pressure. You said water in a bucket. It's under pressure. If that water's still, that means the force at each point in there is equal. They said no net forces. The point everything is equal. So because that's what pressure is. Every point, because every object in there, every atom in there has the same amount of force. Every atom in a pressure system. So you have the same amount of force as the devil has, as the male has the same amount of force as female. That's why they're equal mathematically, right? We have the same amount of force. The problem is that the acceleration is different. Mass times acceleration equals force. Mass times acceleration equals force. Okay? Mass times acceleration equals force. So if your force is equal, then it depends on whatever your mass is. So if your mass is 12, your acceleration is going to be 1 if the force is 12. If your mass is 12, your acceleration will be 1 because 1 times 12 equals 12. But if your mass is 4, your acceleration is going to be 3 because 3 times 4 is 12. If your mass is 6, then your acceleration is going to be 2 because 2 times 6 is 12. Right? So your mass, how fast, not fast how fast you're moving, but how much acceleration, how much energy you have, basically. Right? See, remember, acceleration is actually a force, but I'm going to say it that way. See, because it makes so you try to understand where we're coming from here. So we're moving because we move slower. Remember, the more mass you have, the slower you're going to move. Because if you're mass of 12, you're going to move that fast. And your thinking is directly connected to how fast you're moving. You're thinking the same direction you're moving at the same speed you're moving. So in other words, if you're moving slow, you think it's slow, right? So if you're thinking moving fast, that means you're thinking fast. So the devil is thinking fast in us, but it's more shallow. You understand? Because they have less structure. They're thinking faster but less shallow. But we think it's slower but much deeper. Hope you understand. We think it's slower because we the gold over there. We think it's slow. But we're thinking deeper. But they're thinking faster than us, but shallow. See? And now it's deep. See? Because a base, like they say, see, because we have a spatial mind, they have an analytical mind. Analytical mind is like linear, and spatial like, spatial means taking space as volume, voluminous. So like I said, you can't tell the forest from the trees. Or, thing is that the analytical mind, spatial mind look over and say, that's a forest, because they can see it. They recognize the forest. But analytical mind said, they're going to count those trees. Say, oh, it's a million trees, there must be a forest. I'm not just joking, but that's kind of the way it works. See, they have to see everything. They couldn't. The only way they knew about atoms, they had to see the microscope. They'd have to find out that Earth was going around the sun. They had to have a telescope. They see, but spatial mind knew it. They could figure it out thinking. Could think deeper. They don't need a microscope. They don't need a telescope. They don't need those things because they think deeply. But they have to see it, which is lower level. They have to see it, and if they can't see it, then they have to make theory. That's why I have so many theories. Well, I think it works this way. I think it works that way. But the original mind have to think. They know exactly, because like I said, for the right prophecy, you'd have to know exactly. You can't say, well, I think, because it might not happen. I mean, how you going to keep a track of somebody emitting a million sperm and know which sperm is going to fertilize an egg? And then when the accident is going to do it at the right time and place and everything else. Understand that, brothers and sisters. Okay? And move the slowest. So you interpret that as like, they slow and stupid. No, they're thinking deeper. See, my people are thinking deeper. They're distracted right now. But once they get their mind back, you're going to see. Because they're the maker, owner, creator, planet Earth, God, universe. They have to think real deep, do that. And they want to write history. Like Elijah Muhammad told you, they want to write history. Right? And I explained to you how they do it. It's not quite like Elijah said, but because he didn't know about computers at the time. See here? Now they're in a closed space right there. Okay? So they're moving around real fast because the temperature's high because they close a small space. Right? I should move that over a little bit, but that's okay. See, so compare that to this. Same ones in a larger space. Okay? Not moving around as much, not colliding as much, but have a larger space. So this one temperature's high and the pressure's high. The temperature's high and the pressure's high because they collide a lot. That's the pressure. Collisions are more intense and move around fast. Temperature's high and the volume is low. The lower volume causes the temperature to rise and causes the pressure to increase. Right? But you increase the volume and you slow down temperature and you slow down the collisions. So another way to look at that is, okay, say the Earth. The Earth is your container, right? So you got one person on Earth. Okay, no collision, no pressure, just one person, no temperature. But say you got 1,000 people on Earth. Okay, well, the temperature might rise a little bit, but there's plenty of room, right? So there won't be any collisions. Right? Because you got what I said, 1 million people. So I said 10 million. I said you got 1 million people, but look at the Earth is. Right? They hardly see each other. You move around more because they want to meet each other and stuff like that. But the point is, until you got 1 billion people, okay, now the temperature rise a little more because the Earth didn't get any bigger. So the temperature rise a little more now because now you get because the Earth ain't getting bigger. So that's another way of looking at it. You say, you relate how many molecules of people in the volume. So you say the volume gets smaller, or you put more people in it. You can say the elevator gets smaller. Say you got 10 people in the elevator, and the elevator is 10 by 10, and somehow the elevator start getting 5 by 5. Okay, now you got a problem because now you're squeezing people. But what if you got 10 people and your elevator is 10 by 10? But then you put 20 people in there. Well, the elevator getting bigger, It's smaller, but now you got more people in it. Same thing. It's the amount of people related to the volume. Understand that. So the more people put on the planet, the more temperature is going to rise, right? And the more collisions. So now we got about 8 billion people on the planet. Okay? And so therefore temperature's up. Because now you got more collision and more wars. We're talking about wars. And the population is still growing. That means the intensity is going to increase. See, I know you didn't think about that. They don't talk about it because they do talk about it in the background. Bill Gates, them talking about we got to cut people down because they understand that concept. But they mean part of is taking get rid of you and taking your space, Africa. That's what they talk about in the background. Because they think we're the weakest link. Yes, you understand that idea? The volume, how much is in the volume? So there, you see, we didn't change. We made the volume bigger. In this case, we made the volume bigger, but you can't make everything bigger, right? So instead of making the volume bigger, keep the volume the same size, but you add more pieces in it. So now you got higher temperature. That's what's going on in the world right now. Temperature's rising, population's increasing. There's more people on the planet now than there's been in the last 6,000 years. So that's why you got all the temperatures high and they're getting hot all the time. Temperatures getting, right? And wars, and each war gets more intense than the last one. Why each war gets more intense than the last one? Because the pressure's increasing, the temperature is increasing, more people on the planet, right? Temperatures, people move around faster now than ever. See, you think it's just, no. People move, that's why it says in Daniel, people move around fast. Why people move? See, the point is, your creativity depends on your thinking. So, if in other words, I don't know how to say this, but let me see. Okay. Say you're one of those particles right there, right? Now, temperature rise, well, now it's hot, so that means it forced you to move. You was moving at 5 miles an hour. Now you got to move 10 miles an hour. But you can't run 10,000 miles an hour. But your mind will create a means for you to move 10 miles an hour. It'll come in a bicycle, it'll come in a car or something. I don't know if you understand that concept. Maybe I should talk about that a little more, but not today. I tell you, it's a mind war. All this, your reality is because of your mind. So no, that's why they have increased transportation and planes, because everybody's moving faster. The minds move faster. So it's bringing into existence tools and things so it can move faster. It sounds like magic, don't it? That's what I'm telling you. Once you understand the end, you understand mathematics, you see how beautiful this is. Because they say, okay, if you say that works like that there, and then all of a sudden the population increases, that means everybody can move faster. Right? But, okay, they was walking, now everybody's got to run, okay. But now they got to go run maybe 1 mile an hour. Now they got to go 10 miles an hour. You can't run 10 miles an hour like this. Right? So somebody comes with the idea, bicycle, a horse, right? Horse maybe, right? And then got 30 miles an hour, most of it, you see what I'm saying? And so it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. See, and the collision coming more. So now they buy the tanks and military armor, which what? They move fast and also destructive. Collisions. Because how do you eliminate the pressure? How do you eliminate the pressure? If you got, say right here where you got 5 in here, right? Say you put 10 in there, okay, now the pressure's up. You put 100 in there, oh man, now everybody's squeezing. So if you're in an elevator and you got 100 people in the elevator, man, you're squeezing everything else. Well, how would you if you can't get an elevator, what would you do? You got 100 people in the elevator, man, everybody's squeezing, everybody fighting each other, right? But one way to ease the problem is, if you got 100 people here, kill 50 of them. Now all of a sudden, now the pressure decreases by half. Now the war is over. You understand the concept? That's how wars end. Because what happens is that enough people get killed, so the pressure decreases, so the conflict decreases. That's how wars end. Wars end because people just say, I think I want to end the war. No, it ends because the pressure decreases. What's war about? Killing people. That's why it says at the end of this war happens, it's only going to be one. It says two-thirds of the population going to be wiped out. So there'll be peace in the world, then. There's going to be no it won't be that much. In other words, you use 100 people in the elevator, man. You killed 90 of them, right? Threw their bodies out. So now it's only 10 in the elevator, man. Everybody's comfortable, and everybody can lay back. They can pull a chair in there, lay back and read a paper. But you got 100, man. Everybody's pushing, crowding, and fighting, man. Move out the way, again. I remember one time I was working in New York, right? And those subways be crowded. And they come in there, and you got to fight your way on there. You got to literally fight your way on there because they crowded. You open the door, and the place crowded. And so you got to push your way in. If you really got to go, you actually got to, everybody's in New York, I'm talking about, you actually push your way in there during rush hour. And I remember one time I go in there, and this is a Oriental guy. He put his arm up, like in front of his arm. He got the guy in front of me. He put his arm under the guy's neck, pushed the guy back out, keeping the guy from coming into the subway. See? So how do you leave it? Yeah, I'm trying to get you to understand how these things work, but it's all mathematics, pressure. So to leave the pressure on the planet right now, the pressure is very high because you got so many people. Plus they're not disciplined, so they're more erratic. So the temperature is increasing, means everybody moves around faster and faster. You think that's not right? That's not good. Oh man, everybody got cars. That's not good. You think that's good? That's progress, though. They need everybody move around faster and faster. Temperature's rising. Got more wars. Why? Wars because resources. I'm not going to that. I get to that level, right? Maybe I take this next step because you can go a long way with this, but I'm not going. I'm just giving you the simple. I said just simple pressure. So the temperature is rising. It's just not just rising because of the population increasing. That's a major part of it, but also because the universe is contracting. That means more energy is coming into us, like turning fire under a pot. That heats everything up, keeps everything. That's what's causing global warming and stuff. So a great war, this war will be greater than World War II. And it's going to kill more people than World War II killed. Millions, billions of people. So therefore, they're going to be gone. And then, okay, now the temperature's going to go down, right? Going to be less people, temperature go down. It's with peace, no less collision. Let's move people might move around as much around like they move around now. Right now, everybody's moving. I mean, average person moves 2 or 3 times a year or whatever. Everybody's moving around, doing all that kind of stuff. You got to travel. You say, do you really want to do all that? But that's demands because that's where it is. Hope you understand. I'm trying to get a basic idea here, brothers and sisters. Now see here. Now I'm just giving a basic example. Now this is porcelain. This is the Caucasians. They're derivative of us, a derivative. And this is a steel. We're solid steel, but we move slower, but we think deeper because we got less much mass, right? We the goal. I put it black here to make it more, to make it more dramatic, right? And they're Caucasian, right? But they made of porcelain. Right? See? And they move around much faster because they less material, less mass. So they think faster but shallow. We think deeper but slower. Right? Bam. Okay. Now what happens? If they collide, which they're about to collide in a minute, boom. That's what happens. They collide. They get destroyed. Because they porcelain, they collide with steel. And that's what's about happening in the world right now. Because as the scriptures tell you, this war's coming. Pressure, everybody's colliding, right? But since they're porcelain, they could be the first to be destroyed. Europeans be the first. That's Armageddon. They first destroyed. Thereafter them be Orientals. Right? And then after them would be Asians. So, and so at the end, it just be us because the pressure's so great. None of them going to be. We're the only ones surviving all the way. That's exactly what Scripture's saying. It says all mathematics. See, they think they can't win. They can't win a collision with us. Okay? You say, oh, the Holocaust, that's energy deprivation. But that's over. So this war coming, right? That's going to result, they're going to be the first casualties. Because the collision, right? When it gets to fatal, they'll be the first one. Shatter. Is that it, Brown? I think that's it. Okay, that's it, Brown says. I'm next vector. I think I'll talk vectors tomorrow. I'm just getting a basic idea how it applies to us and apply to what's going on in the world. Okay. And if you don't understand pressure, you don't understand force, you understand vectors, then you have no idea what this world is about. You have no idea. Farrakhan's not talking about, he don't know. You hear him talking about this stuff like that. He tried to wax intelligent about a couple of weeks ago, or something about electricity. And he was wrong about that. He lied about my idea of electricity, but he's wrong about it. That's not how electricity works. Electricity is not in everything. Electricity is not in everything. No, it's not. Electricity has to do with electrons, right? And they have to be in a controlled situation. Electricity is not in everything. It's not even close. Right? Now, and I'll talk about that. That's one of my subjects I'm going to talk about. Electricity as we move on. I'm talking about vectors. I want you to get the background. Vectors, calculus, pressure, those are the three basics. Everything else pretty much builds up from there. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. So, if you study the angel, if you ain't studying this, you're not really studying the angel. Because the angel is just teaching you about this. Because that's what it's based on. All that stuff in there is just like translated from Spanish to English. So I'm just translating angel into math. Because that's what, when you read it and you study what it's saying on it, it's just talking math. It's just talking in a English type format, but it's math. Islam is mathematics, Islam. Hope you understand, brothers. I'm going to close out here. Next vectors, hopefully tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.